Greetings and welcome to Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. I'm the Reverend Christian Schmidt, interim minister of this congregation. It's so good to have you with us. Whether this is your first time or your 1001st, know that you are welcome here and that we are glad to have you. We are a community dedicated to welcoming the stranger, working for justice, and supporting one another. Though safety issues prevent us from gathering together in person right now, we are working towards that and hope to do that soon. We're also glad we can provide this forum to find comfort and recommit ourselves to the mission of supporting one another in our spiritual journeys, working for care of the earth and building the common good. We gather to recommit ourselves to dismantling systems of oppression and injustice. Greetings and welcome to Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. I'm the Reverend Christian Schmidt, interim minister of this congregation. It's so good to have you with us. Whether this is your first time or your 1001st, know that you are welcome here and that we are glad to have you. We are a community dedicated to welcoming the stranger, working for justice, and supporting one another. Though safety issues prevent us from gathering together in person right now, we are working towards that and hope to do that soon. We're also glad we can provide this forum to find comfort and recommit ourselves to the mission of supporting one another in our spiritual journeys, working for care of the earth and building the common good. We gather to recommit ourselves to dismantling systems of oppression and injustice. It is so good to be together. I have just one announcement in two parts. Today, this afternoon, you are invited. First, to our Lifespan Growth Program, which welcomes families with children to our open house at 2:30 at our facility. Come in person, bring Mass. Just after that, at 3:30, everyone is invited to the open house and meet and greet the minister. That's me. We'll have a safe, socially distanced outdoors gathering to see one another and also to begin our water ceremony. So please bring a small sample of water to share if you can. We'll record the gathering of the waters as we pour all of those samples together, and then we'll use that video as part of our September 19th service when we continue the water ceremony. For our service today, we ask you to turn off your cameras in Zoom to let us all focus on the service. After the service, we will invite you to turn on your cameras so you can see each other and give a virtual hug and wave. And lastly, please continue to look to emails, phones, the website, all of our communications methods for continued updates about worship and other church happenings during this time of sheltering in place and physical distancing. And know if you ever need anything, please be in contact with our church staff. We're just an email or phone call away. I invite you now to take a deep breath as we enter into this time of worship.
Holy and beautiful the custom which brings us together in the presence of the Most High. to face our ideals, to remember our loved ones in absence, to give thanks, to make confession, to offer forgiveness, to be enlightened, and to be strengthened. Through this quiet hour breathes the worship of ages, the cathedral music of history. 3 unseen guests attend: faith, hope, and love. Let all our hearts prepare them place.
Would you join me in singing from your gray hymnals, number 100, I've Got Peace Like a River, all verses. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got tears like raindrops, I've got tears like raindrops, I've got tears like raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like raindrops, I've got tears like raindrops, I've got tears like raindrops in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain in my soul.
Let us join our voices together in reciting our covenant, located both on the screen and known in our hearts. Love is the teaching of this church. The quest of truth is its daily task, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve life in community, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. This is our covenant, with each and with all.
Good morning. It's so great to see you. For our friends that are joining us, my name is Ann Richards. I'm Director of Lifespan Spiritual Growth at Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. And this morning I have some friends with me. This is Elsie Shantz and Eva Absher Shantz. Hi.
Hi. Hi.
This morning we're talking about a sort of serious subject because it is the 20th anniversary of 9/11, September 11th. And I realized that no one in the RE program now was alive when that happened. All of them are at minimum in their early 20s. So that means that there's a wide range of understandings of the event and feelings about the event. So I wanted to explore that with our friends. Elsie, can I start with you? How old are you?
I'm 11.
You're 11. And can you tell me what you know about what happened?
I heard a couple of things. I heard that there was a plane and like there was traders and like they tried to crash in and people died. I also heard that the plane was there when like an office building or something was going on, and they crashed it and like people were below there and hiding in like this hideout thingy, but it's like kind of history to me.
So wow, that covers a lot. When you go about your daily life, can you see anything that's a result of 9/11? For instance, my life changed after 9/11, and I can show you how it changed. Is there anything in your daily life that makes you think about 9/11, special security or school or anything?
Yeah, I think they didn't have enough security back there then. That's why there's so much security now. Like in houses, there's cameras. In schools, there's so many cameras. And like in office buildings and stuff, there's just a lot of cameras around now. So they have more security now. And that's, I think, why they got that too.
So even though you don't remember what it was like before, you can identify the differences. That's really interesting. I'm going to ask your mom a few things and we can then compare. Eva, can you tell me what you were doing that day and what you remember about it?
Sure. I was at work and was there pretty early, and coworkers started saying that something happened. We immediately went on the internet to look, and I found out that a plane had crashed into the World Trade Center building, which made me think of the truck bomb that had happened in the 90s. And then we all stopped work and we gathered around the televisions, and we were in Alexandria downtown, and pretty soon we saw some smoke and things happening from the Pentagon area. And then we got the news about that as well later, but we all went home. I think I walked home and called friends, and we basically were around the television all day long.
Yeah. What is your understanding of why people crashed planes into those office buildings? Why did that happen?
I thought that they wanted to kill all Americans, but that's just what some people have told me.
9/11, I always think for Elsie's generation is kind of akin to how I feel about Pearl Harbor Day. When my grandparents would talk about Pearl Harbor Day, they would get so incredibly emotional. It was like it had just happened. And for me, I just didn't feel the same way, even though it was, a horrible moment in our history.
Right. Yeah, it's so true. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts as we look back on the events of 9/11.
Mount Vernon Unitarian Church continues to share the plate with committed organizations that you, our members, have chosen. This week, our offering is being shared with the Minister's Discretionary Fund. This fund, overseen by our congregation's minister, is used to help people in need through gifts. It is one way our congregation helps one another. I invite this gathered community to offer whatever you are most comfortable with in spirit and financial generosity for the mission of our church community. If you would like to write and mail a check for the offering, please make it to MVUC, and in the memo line, indicate how you would like it to be used. You can also follow the link in the chat box to make a one-time or recurring payment. During this time of music, we invite you to tenderly name in the chat box or in your heart the joys and sorrows that you hold within you.
Take a moment to prepare yourself for our time of quiet reflection and prayer. Get those wiggles out of your body. Get comfortable where you're seated or standing or however you are. Attempt to still your busy mind. And join us first in a few moments of silence, followed by our prayer. Take a moment to prepare yourself for Our prayer today comes from the Reverend John Saxon. He writes, "The day, yesterday, is simply one more day on the calendar. The 11th day of September. Another beautiful, sunny day on the cusp between summer and fall. And yet that day, September 11th, will never be just another day on the calendar, as we remember that beautiful sunny day in September 20 years ago. A day that began like so many others, with people going about their ordinary day-to-day lives, and then in the brief span of a few hours ended in shock and disbelief as airplanes became weapons of mass destruction. Skyscrapers burned and fell to the ground. Smoke and ash filled the air. A day that is painful to remember, but impossible to forget. And so we pause to remember. We remember with gratitude all the heroes and heroines of that day, the firefighters and emergency responders who demonstrated such courage in the midst of crisis. We remember in sorrow those who perished, the stockbrokers and janitors, office workers, passengers, bystanders, adults and children, firefighters and police officers, all victims of such calculated and senseless violence. We remember with hope the voices that called and still called for unity in the face of division, urged peace even as our nation prepared for war. We remember in bewilderment the ways the events of that day changed who we are as a nation, the ways they continue to haunt us. And remembering the terror and violence of that day, we rededicate ourselves this day to raising our voices against fanaticism, religious intolerance, racism, violence, terror, and hatred in all its forms. We recommit ourselves to doing whatever we can to create a future in which all people can live in freedom, community, and peace without fear. May it be so, because we make it so.
Who can say I am free? I have purified my good heart. There are none on earth. There are none on earth. A new heart I will give, not stone, but one that frees. A new heart I will give, and one that frees. May this day make us strong, like a tree of life with good fruit. Bless us now, amen. Bless us now, amen. May we now forgive, our tongue that we may live. May we now forgive, that we may live. Amen.
Imagine this. On the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, every fall, every year, the people make their peace with anyone they have wronged or slighted or injured or in any way neglected in the past 12 months. The task is not to patch things up, smooth things over, reach a compromise, or sweep mistakes and uneasy memories under the rug. The task is not to feel better. The task is ownership. The goal is truth for its own redemptive sake. I did this. I said this to you, and I was wrong. I neglected this. I botched this. I betrayed you, thusly. I demeaned you, whether you ever knew it or not. This is the truth in which both of us are living. I ask you to forgive me. Imagine how many deep breaths you would need to take. Imagine how many doors you would have to knock on, calls you'd have to make, how many letters, how many lunches and coffees, how many awkward moments with your children and your parents and with strangers, that cashier to whom you spoke so sharply. Awkward is irrelevant. The task is not about comfort, it's about truth, about wholeness and holiness, restoration. Imagine this. Someone has been preparing all year to speak with you, to write to you, to ask you a hard question. Perhaps in some way not quite conscious, you have even known this, and you've been preparing too. Finally, you answer the door or the phone, or open the letter with shaky hands, and there it is, what you thought you'd been longing for but really have dreaded. Someone is asking your forgiveness. The task is not about comfort, it's about truth. Awkward is irrelevant. You get to choose now. You have to choose whether or not and how you will participate in restoration. Abandon the pleasant piety that claims knee-jerk forgiveness as the unquestioned moral course. You get to choose which way will be right in this case, between you as persons and with all your gods. What response will make the world more whole? Imagine. Something yearns in us to come round right. Something creaky, rusty, heavy, almost calcified within us tries, in spite of us and all our fears and self-deception, to turn and turn and creak and turn again and come round a little truer. Something in us stretches toward conversion. Imagine healing, wholly from within.
In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the winter chill, we will remember them. In the opening of the buds and in the spring rebirth, we will remember them. We will remember them. remember them. We remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and in autumn beauty, we will remember them. We will remember beginning of the year, and when it ends, remember beginning of the year, and when it ends, when we are weary and in need of strength, when we are lost and sick at heart, when we have joys we learn to share, we will remember them. We remember them. We remember as long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us, as we remember them. We remember them. We remember
I remember where I was like it was yesterday. I was in college, in my dorm room, in bed, asleep, when a neighbor of ours came bounding into the room, shouting at us to turn on the TV because something was happening. That something, as we now know, was that an airplane, and then another one, was flown into the World Trade Center's main two towers. And then another plane crashed into the Pentagon, just a few miles away from where our church campus is. And yet another plane crashed in a field in Pennsylvania. It had been targeted for Washington, D.C. Thousands of people died. Thousands more were injured or suffered the lingering effects of the event. Their families suffered the loss of all of them. Muslim Americans and those who were perceived to be Muslim or Arab suffered abuse and violence merely for sharing or being perceived to share some of the same identities as the terrorists who committed these acts. That legacy continues to this day. And it's important for us to remember that as we welcome tens of thousands of Afghan refugees to this country. Now for me, 9/11 and its aftermath is perhaps the defining event of my young adulthood. I was 20 when 9/11 happened. So for me, it's much like my parents' memories of the assassination of President Kennedy or of the moon landing. It's perhaps like Pearl Harbor was for my grandparents. And so even now, 20 years later, it's present for me and probably is for many of us. And it's been a long time, 20 years. The dorm that I woke up in that morning no longer stands. It has been demolished to make way for the new. And I've grown and moved and changed. I'm twice the age I was then. So much has moved on, and still we carry the past with us. And this is what memory is. We carry the past with us even as we move forward. Now, later this month in worship, we'll talk about history. But of course, memory and history are closely related. But I think that memory is more powerful in many ways. It affects us and how we engage the world around us. It's what we carry with us. It's what we don't remember, either by choice or trauma or by happenstance. I note too that for 20 years now, we as a country have been at war. For many in this country, it's been a quiet war, much of it. Certainly not one that occupied all our attention all the time. But for others, for those that have served, for their loved ones, for their friends, it has been both very present and very powerful. And for all of us, whether we were always aware of it or not, it has shaped who we are today. A 20-year war has finally come to a close just last month. But its effects will live on for decades to come. I note too that at this time we're in the midst of the Jewish high holidays, of celebrating the new year with Rosh Hashanah, and of preparing to atone for failings in the past year on Yom Kippur. So for those here and in our community who observe, we honor you. These two are closely connected to memory as well. So for those observing, know you are in my thoughts and prayers during this special and holy time. To memories and failings. Whatever your feelings about the war in Afghanistan, there are many failings to consider. Some strategic or tactical, certainly. Others ideological or ethical. Over and over, we as a country have allowed ourselves to be led or drawn into wars that drag on almost interminably. This one more extreme than most. There are many dead, and not just soldiers, but also countless citizens who are just in the wrong place. And so what memories will we carry with us of this time? And will we at long last learn from those memories? Our country has repeated the same mistakes over and over with devastating consequences for everyone involved. This is not any slight against the people. I know that so many people have died or been injured doing their very best. Others are left with the trauma of what they've been through, and it's for them that we have to do better. I don't pretend to have all the answers, but it seems to me that today, now, is the time to collect those memories, to share them as we can, and to be willing to learn what they have to teach us. Because memory is powerful. We carry the memories of these traumatic events, not just in our minds, but in our very bodies. We carry good memories too, certainly, perhaps the care of an adult when you were young, or the smell of fresh cookies, or the embrace of a friend, also live in the same way. We are in no small sense a collection of our memories. But we are more than that too. We are formed by our experiences, but they are not in charge of us. And it is that reality that gives me hope. Hope that that you can overcome painful experiences we've had. Hope that our country can rise up to the shining ideals it proclaims. Hope that our world with all its hurts and wounds can heal, and that all its people could be one, united in health and happiness. We're 20 years on from 9/11 now. We can hold those memories, but not be held back by them. We can use them in all they are to move forward, to make a better world, a better community, a better family, a better us. Honoring the memory of those who have died requires nothing less from us. So friends, may you hold those memories. May you share them as you can, and let them help you craft a new future. May it be so.
Good morning. Please join us in singing hymn 159 from your gray hymnal or from your screen.
Will you join me as we unite our voices to recite the words to extinguish our chalice, words known within our hearts and can be found displayed upon your screen? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Friends, take time today to look back, to remember, to feel. Know where we have come from and who we have been, and then come to today. Be the person you are right now, with the experiences that have helped form you, ready to move into a new day. Our worship is ended, and our service begins.